Hello everybody, this is Relaxing Raccoon here, and today guys, I'm going to be doing my Call of Duty Zombies tier list. Now, I just want to let you guys know I've had this video planned for a really long time, and I'm going to be starting off with some rules on this. I'm only going to be doing, well, first of all, I'm only going to be doing COD Zombies. This is only COD Zombies, and second of all, I'm not including Vanguard because I have not played Vanguard. I do not actually own it. And the last and final rule, this is all based on my opinion, so I'm very sorry if this video or this ranking is not going to be up to your opinion, because I know everyone has their own opinions. So I just wanted to clarify that for anyone who doesn't like it when people don't clarify. So for the lowest ranked map, I think that this spot deserves to be Die Rise. I think Die Rise is the worst map in all of the zombie maps, or in every single COD Zombies map that I've ever played. I think Die Rise is the worst one. I think the biggest problem with this map is that you have to really worry about fall damage and just kind of some other things like liquefiers and elevators. Now, the next spot I'm going to be putting on is Transit, and I know a lot of people say that Transit should be the worst rated. I think Die Rise is a way worse map than Transit. I actually would rather play Transit over Die Rise, to be honest. I think there's some aspects that make Transit just a better map than Die Rise, but don't get me wrong, Transit has its flaws, and by meaning as in fog, lava zombies, and as well as the Avogadro and Denizens. Now, the next spot I'm going to be doing is Voyage of Despair. I think Voyage of Despair is the worst Black Ops 4 map I've ever played, in my opinion. So I just think it's just not a great map, and I'm also just not the biggest of a BO4, neither Cold War fan, so you're going to be seeing a lot of these maps a little bit in the lower ranks, just for a warning for anyone who are BO4 or Cold War lovers. But I think Voyage of Despair is just not a good map. There's a lot of things that I don't really like about this map, but this is one of those maps where I would definitely play rather than other maps. Now, the next map I'm going to be putting on this list is Nuketown. Now, I know that this is going to be a little bit shocking for me to say that I think Nuketown is better than Voyage of Despair, but I think that Nuketown is better just because I would rather play Nuketown than Voyage of Despair. I think there's so many more flaws about Voyage of Despair, and also I like the story that Nuketown was actually telling, because I also really like story on this map, which also will be depicting a lot of my opinions on some of these maps. So just for a little heads up for some of the people, so yeah. I think Nuketown was cool how it took place in the same time as when Moon was taking place, so I thought that was really cool. Now, the next map is going to be Dead of the Night. I know a lot of people actually really like this map. Some people really hate it. I'm one of those people who are not very fond of this map. Some people actually put this way, way lower. I've seen people put this way lower. I don't think it's that bad of a map, but I definitely think it's one of those BO4 maps that I will never, ever, ever go back to playing. And yeah, this is why I think that Dead of the Night should get this spot. There's just too many things that feel too clustery of a map for me to be able to play it. I think there's just too much stuff going on in this map, and I'm not a big fond of these characters. I think that the characters were very lacklustering of a character compared to the Voyage of Despair crew that you get. The next map I'm actually going to put is Outbreak. I think this is the worst Cold War map in all of the zombie maps, or all of the Cold War maps. And this is the reason is because I think the map is way too big and it gets boring pretty fast for me. I think the only way I could really ever enjoy playing this map is if I was streaming, and that's it. So the next map is going to be Firebase Z. Now, I don't know if anyone's going to be really shocked about this, because I don't know a lot of people who are actually big Cold War supporters, but I know a few. But I know that all of the Cold War supporters that I've seen actually are not too fond of Firebase Z. So that's why I put Firebase Z in this spot. I'm not a big fan of this map either, but I definitely would rather play it than Outbreak. But I just think that this map can get really boring pretty fast, and the map is just not that great. I think the next map is going to be D Machine, and the reason for this, even though it's the first Cold War map, and I was actually really hyped for this map to come out, but I think the reason why it deserves this spot is because I find that this map is just a boring, bare-bones survival type map. I think it's a boring, bare-bones survival type map. It's just not one of those maps that I would like to play a lot for bare-bones survival, so I think it's the worst bare-bones survival map that we ever have. And I also just find a lot of the colder maps not that great. So the next map I'm actually going to put is Tagged or Toten, back to the BO4 maps. Now, the reason I put Tagged or Toten here, because, well, first of all, I don't really like the crew on this map, which is why I put a lot of their maps a lot lower. But Tagged or Toten, I think, is just a really bad Call of the Dead on BO4 engine. That's what I really hate about this map, is that it's on BO4 engine, and that but it's also Cold War, and I don't feel like it pays respects to the OG BO1 Cold War, especially with the crew that we have. It's just that Call of the Dead is just better. Tagged or Toten is just not where it's at. The next map I'm actually going to be doing is Forsaken. Now, the reason for this is I think that Forsaken is way too small of a map for Cold War engine, I think. I think that is my main reasoning why putting it over on this side of the list, is because I think it's way too small of a map for Cold War engine. And I got very bored of this map also pretty fast, but I thought the map was pretty cool when it came out. But after, kind of playing it for a little bit, I got pretty bored of this map just because of the length of the map. Now, the next map I'm actually going to put is Mauer, because I know this one's going to be really shocking, but please, comments, do not hate me for this one. I'm just not a big fan on Cold War maps, and Mauer is actually my favorite Cold War map. I think is one of the best Cold War maps, in my opinion. I think the Easter egg was really good. I think the story is really good on this map. But definitely, I'm just not the biggest Cold War person, so I think I put Mauer here. Compared to every other map that we have in this series that's not Vanguard, I think that Mauer deserves this spot on my list, in my opinion, for the type of maps that I like, and that I like way more of OG Zombies. Now, the next map is actually going to be Classified. Now, I know on the video it shows like 5, but this is someone who was ranking like every BO4 maps, just letting you guys know. So, Classified, I think, is here just because I think it is way too much of a tedious map to play. I think Classified is way too tedious. And the next map I'm actually going to be putting is Alpha Omega. Now, I don't know if this is going to be shocking to some people putting this low or this high, because I know a lot of people do not like Alpha Omega, or some people really like Alpha Omega. But I think that it definitely deserves a higher spot for the BO4 maps. But I definitely think, compared to some of the other maps, I think Alpha Omega deserves this spot compared to some of the other maps that I like more than this one. So I put Alpha Omega on a little bit of a lower tier, but definitely not a really bad tier. But this map, I think I still find kind of bad. But I think it's just because mainly it's a Nuketown, and I'm not a big fan of Nuketown. So the next map is actually going to be Blood of the Dead. Now, I know a lot of people, I know comments, I know everyone's going to be like, what, you put Blood of the Dead here? Now, the reason for this is actually because I really like the story on this map, but gameplay-wise, I would not put it here at all. I would put it very, very low. I wouldn't put it the lowest, but for gameplay standards, I don't put this map this high. But just because of the story, I think that this brings this map up all the way up to this tier. Because again, like I said earlier, that I think that the story is going to definitely depict on some of my opinions. And I know Blood of the Dead has a good story, and I like the story on Blood of the Dead. So the next map I'm actually going to be doing is the first OG Zombies map that we're putting on this list is Shangri-La. And Shangri-La is just a really hard map, although I know it's BO1, and a lot of the BO1 maps are just kind of hard, but I think Shangri-La is just one of those hard maps that I can never really have that much fun on, but I definitely would rather play it than all the other maps before it, just because I feel like I like the engine a little bit more on this map than I do on any of the other maps. I think all the other engines are just worse, way more worse than this one. So I think that's why this map deserves this spot. I just think that Shangri-La is not that good of a map. So the next map I'm actually going to be putting is Revelations. I think this is a little bit shocking because it's a BO3 map. The reason I put it here is because it's nothing really new. It's not a new map. It's kind of really just things that we've already seen. So I think that's mainly why I put Revelations here. But I definitely would rather play it than any other map. But the story is actually really good. But I don't think I want to put it over a lot of other maps compared to a lot of the other maps that I like way more than this one. But yeah, it's just not that great of a map to me. And it is just, not that map that I would really want to play a lot. And it is just very, very, very boring of a map for high rounding. Now, the next map I'm actually going to be putting on is Zetsubo no Shima. Now, Zetsubo no Shima has actually grown on me a little bit over time. I used to really, really, really hate this map. But Zetsubo no Shima has actually grown on me a little bit. And I actually realized I like this map way more than a lot of other maps. So that's why I think I put it here. And I just think... But I do definitely not a biggest fond of the layout of this map, which I think is why it goes this low. But if the layout was maybe a little bit better to me, then I would put this map a little bit higher. But yeah, I just think layout is really what brings it down to this spot. Now, the next map I'm going to be doing is 9, and I think 9 is a really good map for BO4 and just in general as a map. But I think 9 deserves this spot because I'm, again, more of an OG lover on zombies, but 9 is one of those maps on BO4 that I can just play and just have fun on every time I play it. So I think that's why 9 deserves this spot. So the next map I'm going to be playing on is Ancient Evil. I think Ancient Evil is the best BO4 map we've ever gotten in BO4 Zombies history. I think Ancient Evil should get this spot, no questions. So, yeah. I think Ancient Evil is a really good map. I know some people don't like this map, but I know a lot of the YouTubers and a lot of people that I know really love Ancient Evil. I think Ancient Evil is such a good map. I just think it's a better 9, in my opinion. I think there was a lot more to do in it, and the wonder weapons are just absolutely amazing on this map. Well, the 9 wonder weapons aren't the greatest. So the next map I'm actually going to be putting here is Buried. Now, I know that this is going to be very shocking because so many people love Buried. I'm actually one of those people who think that Buried is an overrated map, and I think Buried... The reason it's down here is because of the high rounding on this map. It just gets really, really boring. It's the same thing with Revelations, but except I would rather play Buried more than the Revelations just because there are some fear factors that are just better in Buried than Revelations, and it's also just on a BO2 engine, like Vulture Raid and just kind of the witches in the pack-a-punch system and Leroy or Arthur. Now, the next map I'm actually going to put in is Nocturne Toten. Now, I know this might be a little bit shocking to some people, because I know some people think this map is really boring, but I'm a big World at War lover, so I think Nocturne Toten should go here. I would rather play Nocturne Toten over Buried, so I put Nocturne Toten here, and I think it deserves a spot. This is one of those maps that are just, very nostalgic to me, so I think that this map really deserves this spot. It's just really nostalgic to me, and it's just a very... just World at War has that type of engine that is not... It's sometimes good, but it's sometimes really bad. But Nocturne Toten is one of those maps where the World at War engine actually isn't that bad of a problem because of how small the map is, so you don't have to worry about it that much. But, I think high rounding this map is just really fun. Sometimes some people think that this map needs co-op players, which I can see that definitely. So the next map I'm actually going to be putting on here is Shino no Numa. I said that a little. Shino Numa. And the reason I put it here is just because... The reason I put it this low is because the 24, cap on zombies, I think is way too boring for Shino Numa, especially for the layout of it. For Noct, I think it's fine because it's a really, really small map. But for this game, or for this map, I think it's not that great for a 24 zombie cap. But it is fun to high round on this map, which I think is why I brought it all the way up here. But I know some people really, really do not like Shino Numa. I'm one of those people who actually kind of like Shino Numa. Again, World at War lover. I love every single World at War map. So, I think Shino Numa just deserves this spot on the list. So the next map I'm actually going to be doing is 5. Now, to some people this may seem really low. To some other people this may seem really high. I think 5 is a middle ground map. I just think 5 was a fun map to play. I think it had so many cool aspects, especially on how to do the pack-a-punch opening. It's not that hard, and also the Pentagon Thief I think was kind of cool, but I know a lot of people don't really like the Pentagon Thief. I think he was kind of cool, but he does definitely get annoying and can spawn in at awkward times on playing this map. But besides that, I think the map is actually kind of cool, and I like it how the Nova Crawlers were only on one section of the map. compared to this little upstairs section. I think this would be really hard to play with Nova Crawlers, but if it's on that one little science section, it's fine. So the next map I'm going to be doing is Kino der Toten here. Now, I know a bunch of people love Kino der Toten. Kino der Toten as the greatest zombies map of all time. I think not. Kino der Toten is probably is literally the best bare bones survival map. I know a bunch of people say Town is, but I think Kino der Toten is the best one. No questions. I think Kino der Toten is the best bare bones survival map of all time. And it's very nostalgic to me, which is also a big reason why I put it up here. But the reason I put it this low is because I think for just a bare bones survival map, and maybe if there was an Easter egg in this map or maybe a boss, I would put it higher. Now, the next map I'm actually going to be doing is Shadows of Evil. This may be very shocking to some people because I know Shadows of Evil is a big fan favorite map. To me, I love this map. Don't get me wrong. I love the story. I love the characters. I love all the aspects of this map. But I think Shadows of Evil, compared to a lot of other maps, I think it deserves this spot, in my opinion. Because, Shadows of Evil was one of my less favorite, BO3 maps, but I think it's definitely still a really good BO3 map, and I still have a lot of fun playing this map. The next map I'm actually going to be putting on this list is Verrückt. And the reason for this is because I think this is a map, there's no other map like Verrückt. This is the scariest map of all time. Again, World at War lover. I'm going to be saying that a lot for these World at War maps. I think Verrückt is actually my favorite World at War map, but compared to Der Riese, I think it deserves this spot. I think it just goes a slight bit over Shadows of Evil because Verrückt is very nostalgic to me. I love Verrückt. Verrückt is such a cool map to me, and it's very scary, and there's no other map like it. There's nothing that you can say that even closely compares to this map, especially the scariness of the vibe. The scariest map of all time. Next map I'm going to be putting here is Moon. Now, I think Moon is a very good map. I think it was very unique, nothing like it, and there was just so many cool things to do. I think the no gravity can be annoying sometimes, but I also thought it was really cool. The pack-a-punch system I think was cool, how it stayed in your spawn area and all you had to do was teleport back there and just get 5k and just pack-a-punch. And also the Easter egg is actually really good on this map. I think I've done it multiple times on BO1 and BO3 version of the map. And just by the way, I'm ranking these on only originals. Now, the next map I'm actually going to be putting on is DE. Now, I know this one's going to be very, very shocking because DE, again, is another really big fan favorite map. But I think DE goes here just because I've played the map so much to the point where the map's gotten boring to me. But I still think that the bows, the Easter egg, and the boss fight and all that stuff is still really cool. So it definitely has to go in a high spot on my list. So that's why I put it here just above Moon, because Moon has kind of that thing where over time it's just gotten boring for me, but D is just better to me now. Now the next map I'm actually going to be putting on is Ascension. It's kind of shocking because I know a lot of people think this as a middle ground map, and this is what I think I think it's just a better map because, again, it's very nostalgic to me. I also really like a lot of BO1 maps. And it's just one of those maps that I have more fun on. And it was actually one of those maps that I got pretty good at training. I think this is definitely those maps that improved my skill on zombies. So that's why it really holds a very, very big special place in my heart for zombies. And yeah. So the next map I'm going to be actually putting on is Call of the Dead. I think Call of the Dead is the best Black Ops 1 map of all time. Sorry, the hiccups. I think it's the best Black Ops 1 map of all time. I used to actually not really like Call of the Dead, and then I started kind of liking it, and then I actually got to play the map, and I started playing the map, and I actually fell in love with Call of the Dead. I think Call of the Dead is such a fun map to train on, just to high run on. Doing the Easter egg is also really fun to do with friends. Doing it solo can sometimes get boring, but yeah. Now, the next map I'm going to be putting on this list is GK. I know GK is a very, very hard map. It's the hardest BO3 map, but I think GK deserves this spot just because of how cool and the amount of cool things that are on this map. Like the PPSH is on no other map besides GK, and the Ray Gun Mark III is really, really cool. There's so many cool things that are just on this map, and GK is just... It's just something else. There's nothing like it, and there's nothing to even compare it to. The boss fight, the Easter egg is so cool in the ending cutscene. Next map I'm actually going to be putting on here is Doris. Again, for the last time saying it, World at War lover, and Doris is a very, very nostalgic map to me, which is why I put it at the top 3 for a map. That's why I put it up to top 3, and I think it just introduced so many things like Pack-a-Punch, teleporters, and you know, it's just something that, like, so many things would not exist if this map did not exist. So this Doris is very nostalgic to me, and I love playing this map. Although sometimes this map can get annoying, especially with the Wonder Waff glitch. But, you know, really besides that, I think this map is amazing, and there's really no other flaws to it, besides kind of just the glitches and what it were. The next map I'm actually going to put in at top 2, at second place, is going to be Origins. Now, I know a bunch of people will put this around in, like, first place. I just think Origins is a top 2 map because it was really hard for me to pick a favorite map, but I think that Origins is my second favorite map because I think this one, to me, it's like, the story is really good, the ending cutscene is really good, you know, all that stuff was really cool, the staffs are really cool, just the guns that were on this map are just really cool, but I think that this map deserves that spot, and I think Mob of the Dead deserves number 1. Is my favorite map of all time. Now, I know a bunch of people say that Mob of the Dead is very overrated, but I think not. I think Mob of the Dead, I mean, I can see the overrating ability of, or overrating, like, status on this map, but I just think that there's so many things about this map that I really like, especially just things I like in Zombies, that Mob of the Dead has a bunch of those things that puts it at my favorite map. That the story, the characters, and all of it is just really good. Now, I just want to say as well, if anyone wants to see a part 2 to this and wants to see me do another one, then definitely leave in the comments below.